Hey everyone, it's Dizzle Studios and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's sure to get some of you fired up. The worst movies to ever win the Oscar for Best Picture. Now the Academy Awards, as we know, are meant to be the pinnacle of cinematic achievement. A night where the best of the best are recognized for their incredible work. But let's be honest, sometimes the Academy misses the mark. And I'm not talking about your typical, I thought this movie was just okay kind of misses. I'm talking about those head-scratching, how in the world did this win Best Picture kind of movies. The ones that leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about film, and frankly, reality itself. So buckle up, because we're about to journey into the dark heart of Oscar history. Welcome to our countdown of the worst films to ever win the Oscar for Best Picture. While the Academy Awards are meant to celebrate the best in cinema, sometimes they get it wrong. Kicking things off at number 5, we have Crash from 2005. This film, directed by Paul Haggis, attempts to tackle the complex issue of racial tensions in Los Angeles. And while its intentions might have been noble, the execution, well, that's a different story. The film relies heavily on stereotypes and overly simplistic storylines, ultimately coming across as preachy and insincere. Crash tries to be a melting pot of perspectives on race and prejudice, but instead, it feels like a collection of after-school special vignettes. The film often feels like it's trying to force its message down the audience's throats, sacrificing genuine character development and narrative coherence for the sake of making a point. It's no surprise that Crash's Best Picture win was met with widespread backlash and remains one of the most controversial decisions in Oscar history. Many critics and audiences felt that films like Brokeback Mountain, which explored themes of love, loss, and societal expectations with far more nuance and grace, were more deserving of the top honor. And honestly, I tend to fall into the latter camp. It's a movie I respect more than I enjoy. Coming in at number 4, we have Shakespeare in Love, a charming enough romantic comedy set in Elizabethan England. The film stars Joseph Fiennes as a young William Shakespeare, struggling with writer's block, who finds his muse in Gwyneth Paltrow's Viola de Lesseps. Now don't get me wrong, Shakespeare in Love is a technically well-made film with strong performances and a witty script. But its Best Picture win over Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan remains a point of contention for many film fans, myself included. Saving Private Ryan, with its unflinching portrayal of the horrors of war and its powerful message about the human cost of conflict, was a landmark achievement in filmmaking. It pushed boundaries technically and emotionally, leaving a lasting impact on audiences. So why did Shakespeare in Love win? Well, many argue that Miramax, the studio behind the film, ran a particularly aggressive and effective Oscar campaign. They understood the importance of buzz and strategically courted votes, ultimately swaying the Academy in their favor. Now, campaigning for Oscars is nothing new. Studios have been doing it for decades. But the sheer scale and audacity of Miramax's campaign for Shakespeare in Love left a sour taste in the mouths of many. It felt like a win for marketing over merit. And what makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that Saving Private Ryan wasn't just a critical darling, it was a massive box office success. It resonated with audiences on a profound level, sparking conversations about history, sacrifice, and the true meaning of heroism. To this day, the 1999 Oscars are remembered as one of the biggest upsets in the Academy's history. It's a reminder that sometimes, the best film doesn't always win, and that factors beyond artistic merit can come into play. Number 3, The Greatest Snooze Fest on Earth, The Greatest Show on Earth, 1952. Our next contender, coming in at number 3, takes us back to the golden age of Hollywood. The Greatest Show on Earth, a circus drama directed by Cecil B. DeMille, took home the Best Picture prize in 1952, leaving many scratching their heads. The film follows the lives of various performers and workers associated with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's got romance, drama, action, and even a cameo from Jimmy Stewart as a clown. On paper, it sounds like a recipe for classic Hollywood entertainment. However, the film is often criticized for its melodramatic plot, over-the-top characters, and a runtime that feels as long as a day at the circus itself. It's a far cry from the tightly paced, narratively satisfying films we typically associate with the Best Picture category. Now, it's important to remember that The Greatest Show on Earth was a product of its time. Big, splashy epics were all the rage in Hollywood during the early 1950s, and this film certainly fit the bill. But compared to other Best Picture nominees that year, like High Noon, a taut, suspenseful western starring Gary Cooper, The Greatest Show on Earth feels bloated and uninspired. High Noon, with its exploration of themes like duty, courage, and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular, has resonated with audiences for decades. It's a film that feels timeless in its themes and execution. The Greatest Show on Earth, on the other hand, feels very much like a relic of a bygone era. It's not a terrible film by any means, but it's certainly not one that screams Best Picture material, especially when compared to some of the other cinematic gems released that year. Number 2. Green Book, A Controversial Journey. Green Book, 2018. At number 2, we have a more recent entry, Green Book, which took home the top prize in 2018. This feel-good dramedy tells the story of Tony Lip, an Italian-American bouncer, played by Viggo Mortensen, who was hired to drive Don Shirley, a world-renowned black pianist, played by Mahershala Ali, on a concert tour through the Deep South in the 1960s. While Green Book features strong performances from its leads and touches upon important themes of race and prejudice, it was met with significant backlash for its simplistic and arguably outdated portrayal of race relations in America. Critics argued that the film relies heavily on the white savior trope, with Tony Lip's character arc taking center stage over Don Shirley's experiences as a black man navigating a deeply segregated and often hostile society. The film's attempts to address racism often felt superficial, lacking the nuance and complexity needed to do justice to such a weighty subject matter. It often fell back on familiar tropes and stereotypes, ultimately undermining its message of unity and understanding. Green Book's Best Picture win sparked a heated debate about representation and authenticity in storytelling. Many felt that films like BlacKkKlansman, directed by Spike Lee, which tackled similar themes with far more nuance and power, were more deserving of the award. Furthermore, Green Book faced criticism from Don Shirley's own family, who disputed the accuracy of the film's portrayal of his life and relationship with Tony Lip. This added another layer of controversy to the film's legacy, raising questions about the ethics of telling stories based on real-life individuals without their full consent or input. Green Book serves as a reminder that even in the 21st century, Hollywood still struggles with representing marginalized communities authentically and respectfully. It's a film that, despite its best intentions, ultimately perpetuates harmful stereotypes and undermines the lived experiences of those it claims to represent. A Trip Around Mediocrity, Around the World in 80 Days, 1956. And finally, our number 1 pick for the worst film to win, Best Picture, is Around the World in 80 Days, the 1956 adaptation of Jules Verne's classic adventure novel. This sprawling epic follows the journey of Phileas Fogg, a wealthy English gentleman who makes a wager that he can circumnavigate the globe in a mere 80 days. Now, I'll give the film this. It's a visually impressive production with lavish sets, colorful costumes, and a cast of thousands. It's the kind of film that Hollywood used to excel at, a grand spectacle meant to transport audiences to far-off lands and exotic locales. However, beneath its glossy exterior, Around the World in 80 Days is a surprisingly hollow film. The characters are paper-thin, the plot is predictable and meandering, and the humor often falls flat. It's a film that mistakes spectacle for substance, relying on its impressive visuals and star-studded cast to distract from its narrative shortcomings. Compared to other Best Picture contenders that year, like Giant, a sprawling Texas epic starring James Dean, Rock Hudson, and Elizabeth Taylor, or The King and I, a musical adaptation of the Rodgers and Hammerstein stage production, Around the World in 80 Days feels remarkably inconsequential. It's a film that's more concerned with checking off locations on a map than exploring meaningful themes or telling a compelling story. It's a prime example of style over substance, a film that's all flash and no heart. And you know, I get it. Sometimes you just want to sit back and enjoy a lighthearted adventure. And on that level, Around the World in 80 Days delivers. But as a Best Picture winner, it's a choice that has left many film fans baffled and disappointed over the years. And there you have it, our list of the worst films to ever win the Oscar for Best Picture. Look, I know this is a subjective topic, and some of you might wholeheartedly disagree with my picks, and that's okay. Part of the fun of discussing movies is debating and sharing our different perspectives, so let me know in the comments below what you think of our list. Did we miss any glaring examples of Best Picture misfires? What films do you think were more deserving of the award in these years? I'm always up for a good film debate. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie countdowns and reviews. Until next time, happy watching.